I'd like to do the official welcome and welcome everyone to a new contribution to spirituality, the Diamond Approach Path. My name's Amelia, and today we have the honor of gathering together with A.H. Almaas, the pen name for Hamid Ali, the founder of the Diamond Approach Path. The topic of today's event is Transcendence versus Transformation. We'll be together for about an hour and a half. There'll be a portion for question and answer or question and comment, as well as discussion with Hamid. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn things over to Hamid.
Hello, good day, everybody, or good evening, I don't know. But good to be with you and talk a little bit, give you some understanding of this path, some ways of entry, some kind of a taste or some kind of a recognition of some of the features of what this path, what this teaching offers. And because there are many teachings these days, in fact, there are thousands of them, there are few that are really major teaching, but many. Everybody is a teacher these days, it seems. So anyway, but this is not just a teacher, this is actual teaching. And we have many teachers in our school. I happen to be the first teacher, the one who started it. But we have many teachers in our school, and many ways of teaching. And one of the ways is, of course, giving a talk, just like traditionally, and like a satsang. But here is not exactly a satsang. I'll be talking to you, trying to communicate with you some important features of this path that we call the Diamond Approach, which means an approach to our experience. The Diamond Path is the path. The Diamond Approach is how we approach our experience, because what we got is our experience. And one thing important from the beginning is to know the distinction between what we call transcendence and transformation, and what I mean by transcendence and transformation. First of all, most of the teachings that you hear about or you are exposed to, especially the ones that come from the East or influenced by the East, tend to emphasize transcendence. And teachings that come from the West, like the Kabbalah or Christianity, so tend to emphasize more of the transformation. That's a matter of emphasis. That doesn't mean they are mutually exclusive. But many teaching these days, especially what they call themselves non-dual teaching, they emphasize transcendence, meaning states of being that are beyond being you, beyond the self, beyond the individual, beyond the human being. Mean experiencing yourself like a vast space, pure, infinite awareness that is beyond any particulars, including the particular of being you as you usually know yourself. And there are many states of transcendence. There's not only one. You might get the idea sometimes transcendence meaning is a certain state. We call the absolute or pure awareness, and that is transcendence. But the fact is that there are many states of transcendence. In our path, we use many states of transcendence. And although many teaching emphasize transcendence, the idea is to go to satsang and get into this transcendent state of pure silence or pure, vastness and pure peace. And that way you're away from all the particulars of your life and the troubles of your mind, and you're then free. which of course can happen as an experience, but as you probably all know, if you have that experience, it doesn't last. So maybe you have a taste, if you're lucky, through the transmission from the teacher. But I'm not saying transcendence is not useful. It's a very important part of the path. In fact, the deeper realization of the path includes transcendence. Transcendence is to recognize that we are beyond the particulars, not of our body, our mind, the particulars of life, beyond the universe. Sometimes when I'm in transcendent state, I am witnessing the universe as a whole, or witnessing myself going around and walking in whatever, for instance. I'm not the individual, I'm with the individual. Or I witness the whole room without being in the room. Or I witness the whole universe without being in the middle of it. I'm outside of it. All these are states of transcendence, and many of them, and I will be talking more about them. And many of you, maybe you want a spiritual teaching because you want that transcendence, which is fine. But I want to show that transcendence is only part of the story. It's half of the spiritual path. The other half is the transformation. And even though transcendence might be difficult to get to, it is actually easier to get to, easier to accomplish than the transformation. The transformation takes works, takes time, takes patience, takes dedication, takes commitment to the practice you are doing or whatever path you are following. So what is transformation? Why do we talk about transformation? Transformation, I don't mean that you transform from being an individual in this life to the transcendent state where you are beyond everything, independent, free from everything. That's not the meaning of transformation, I mean. By transformation, I mean that you as an individual transforms, meaning your own personal individual experience transform from one thing to another. And that is a big story, because you as an individual at the beginning, especially of a path, you really take yourself to be the body and the mind and your thought and your feeling and the life you have and the relationship and your history, and you have your mother and father and kids and all of that. That's normal. That's the ordinary state of a human being. But you wonder when you're having experience, Let's not look at like experience of perception, like seeing something or hearing something, but your inner experience, your subjective experience. What are you experiencing inside you? Like right now, what are you experiencing inside you? What are you feeling? You're aware of your thoughts, that your mind is buzzing, or you're aware of some feeling, or your body, or discomfort in the body, you have some pain someplace, or you're having some sensation, a strong sensation, or no sensation. Each person is in a different place of how much they are in touch with their inner experience, their subjective experience. Because our subjective experience is a whole mosaic, is a whole atmosphere, is a whole universe of experience, thoughts, images, ideas, emotion, feeling, reaction, sensations of different kinds, and all of them are combined together to form what we call our subjective experience. And the ordinary subjective experience, as I said, is dominated by thoughts, emotion, which are mostly reactions that are patterned by our past and by our history, sometimes by our culture or group that we identify with, or governed by our gender or sexual orientation or our political persuasion. All these determine our subjective experience, whether it is of frustration or sadness or quietness or spaciousness. So everybody, each one of you is in a different place. So it's good to know as I am talking, to know where you are, to really come with me. You sense your body, you sense your arms and legs, and you sense what's inside you. And I don't mean just inside your head. I mean inside your torso, inside your heart. Some of us are more in touch with our emotions than others. Some of us don't feel much emotion. Some of us are full of emotion. We can't control them. Sensations, of course, also are different. Some of us are very much in touch with our tension patterns and our aches and pains. Some of us might feel the pain and ache, but we're not aware of the tension patterns and that are sometimes behind the pains. Because with the sense of being a self or an ego self, there goes with it a certain structure, a certain patterning of the body, but I mean our experience of the body, a patterning of our heart, how we experience our feeling and emotion and our feeling side, and also a patterning of the mind, our thoughts and images, what kind of thoughts and images go through our mind and how influential they are in our experience. That's usually the inner atmosphere of most people. And that means inner atmosphere when anybody begins a path. However, if you've done some practices, you notice that the inner atmosphere begins to change. If you meditate, for instance, you have meditated for some time, sometimes you get states of quietness inside instead of all the stuff, emotion, and, a potpourri of, subjective experience. There's a general quietness, stillness. Sometimes there is a sense of lucidity and clarity, or some kind of freedom, or some kind of love sometimes. Just love. That is if we practice. So in our path, we work with those particular of our experience, wherever we happen to be, whether we are feeling nothing, whether we're feeling some kind of impatience, whether we're feeling a state of relaxation, whether we're feeling full of thoughts that can't stop, whether we're feeling some kind of emotions or conflicting emotions, or pain or hurt or fear. Whatever it is, our first job is not try to go away from it. Our practice is not try to go away with it, not try to change it, but to let it be as it is. Because that is what we got. That is what reality is presenting itself inside us at this present moment. And we respect it. And we embrace it. But we embrace it not mean we identify with it, we hold on to it. We embrace it to know it. We embrace it to find out what is it we're experiencing. First of all, to know where we are means what is happening inside us. What's going on? Some of us might be experiencing ourselves as a vast stillness. That's even good. I will explore into that. Wow, kind of vast stillness. Wonder, what's that mean? What is that? And how is that related to the usual person that I happen to be? We don't assume from the beginning that we know answer to these things. We take the position of innocence, position of humility, that we experience, we don't necessarily know all the meaning for experience or why we have such experience. What does it mean? How we have it is, and what we find out if we really stay with it, be with it, and begin to be curious about it. Ask question about, like, how I'm feeling sad. Why am I sad? What's the sadness about? You might find out that you're sad because of all the trouble in the world. That the world is so polarized. The world is so much division and so much violence, it makes you sad. And you might find out, or that you're sad because your wife or your husband isn't there for a while. They're away. You miss them. Or you're sad because on the phone, somebody said something that was hurtful. It made you sad. So you see, it might begin with sadness, but then you have an insight what the sadness is about. And that's not the end. Or you might begin with frustration or anger or fear. Or, as I said, even you feeling love. Even if you feel love, how come I feel love now? You feel love because I'm open to you. I am myself giving you love. You're feeling love that way? Are you feeling my heart? Or do you feel love because you've had a good interaction with your wife or partner or friend, and you're feeling sweet? But even if you're feeling love, that doesn't end the exploration. Even the love. What is the love? What's the experience of the love? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? Is it just love? I like somebody, I appreciate them. You do, but that's is an effect on your mind and consciousness. But what is the love itself? So, I feel sort of soft inside. Good beginning. What is soft and what else? You might feel that there is a texture to the softness. The soft, maybe the softness has a fluidity or a sense of fluffiness. That transforms your inner subjectivity. So the looking into, staying with, being where we are, not rejecting it, which takes a great deal of practice to not reject our experience. Rejecting our experience means we want to change it. Means we have an agenda that we are looking at it because we want it to be different. If you have that agenda, you're already rejecting it. So if you're rejecting it, that's not bad. It only means you didn't know you were rejecting. Now you become aware. If you reject, that's part of what's happening inside. That's part of your subjectivity. You want to learn about your rejection of your experience or impatience with it, or wanting to change it, or thinking that's not where you want to be. You want to feel peaceful. You want to feel happy, which is all good and understand that everybody wants to be happy and peaceful. So these are examples of what I mean. What does it mean to have a subjective experience and how to approach it? Diamond approach means to approach it by letting it be, recognizing what it is, which means we call it finding where we are in the experiential universe, not where we are geographically or which room, but where we are in an experience. And then exploring that experience, asking a question about it, being curious about it. And we do it in many ways in our teaching. We give instruction of how to do it. Sometimes we do it with the help of a teacher who works with you for an hour or so. Once a week, every other week, we'll ask you questions like I did now, somebody will do it with you for a whole hour. So it is more orientable where you are, and the teacher will know what's happening with you and can ask you questions specific, particular to what you are experiencing. And that way the experience will transform faster. And will transform, as transform, it illuminates, it reveals more what's it about. So as you see here, transformation means our subjectivity changes, transform, revealing its meaning, going deeper. And as it goes deeper, it reveals different dimension of what we are, a different dimension to our experience that's causing it to be what it is that we might have not known before. No experience is haphazard. Whatever experience you have is meaningful. It says something about you, about the totality of your psyche. But all this means that you're not just a body or the mind. You are a psyche. You are a psyche that includes emotions and sensations and various kind of experience. And the inner experience has many dimensions of color and shape and texture and intensity and affect of different kind of affect. First of all, there's the sensation and the emotion and feeling and the thought and images. But each one of those is a whole universe, like emotion. It could have intensities or has texture, like soft or harsh. And sensation, the same way, it can be painful or pleasurable or soft or easy or smooth. So each one of them, each one of the dimensions, there are three main, parts of us, three main sources of our subjective experience that collaborate to create what we call our present experience. And what I'm saying is not haphazard, it is your experience. It's not somebody's experience. It is unique to you, it is unique to your psyche, it's unique to your history, and unique to your gender, all of that. All that is important. So to welcome your experience is welcoming yourself from the beginning, accepting yourself and being interested in yourself. So interested in yourself is the beginning of being interested in the truth, being interested in reality, because reality appears to you as your experience. What is reality besides your experience of it? Reality doesn't appear in the air or someplace. No, it appears to you, and usually within your experience, what we call our inner experience. Now, that means we are a psyche. That means we are an inner consciousness. There's a field of consciousness, because when you're feeling an emotion, there's a feeling and an awareness, a sensitivity throughout the emotion. If you're feeling sadness, you're feeling it throughout your chest, or the tears in your head. You're not just feeling tears, you feel sadness, the warmth in your head or in your heart. You're feeling anger, you're feeling an intensity and a fireness in your whole body, in your arms and legs, and maybe in your belly. And if you're feeling stuck, you feel stuck someplace in your heart or your head, or tension. It's always, you see, shows that there is a field of sensitivity. Our subjectivity implies a field of a continuum, a manifold of sensitivity that is aware of different things that emerge in it. So it's not like your thought appear in an empty space. It's not like your feelings appear in your chest cavity. They appear within a sensitive medium. The sensitive medium, if you really explore it, you realize it's not really physical. You cannot reduce it to the physical. It's not because of the neurons in your brain or your limbic system. Those are involved, is important, but that doesn't explain why you have it the way you have it. Like the neuroscientists still don't understand the qualia of consciousness. I mean, they don't know how feelings happen. They don't know how colors happen. Spiritual people who know the property of consciousness, they know what qualia is. They know how feelings happen. They know how colors happen. It's just a transformation in the consciousness, which you experience it as you experience your inner experience. So by knowing the particular experience, you and recognizing there are particular arising in your individual consciousness, you have the opportunity to find out, what is this consciousness? What is this atmosphere? What's it made out of? Obviously, it's made out of some kind of sensitivity. What is sensitive? What is sensitive? What is the medium that is sensitive? That is one way we could discover our individual consciousness. And that individual consciousness can transform, in the sense, can become, instead of full of emotions and thicknesses and tensions and pain, all that can become clarified. Clarified means becomes clear of the reaction and the emotion and thought, and become more of a clear, quiet medium. So we feel sort of simplicity inside, instead of a lot of things happening. The simplicity and the spaciousness could be quiet or clear and lucid. And that way, I call clarification, meaning clarifying it from the influences of the past. That takes time. You have to understand the influence of the past. In our work, that takes some years for it to happen, our path. But what you got to lose, your life. It's the most important thing you got, your experience. Isn't your experience the most important thing you got in your life? Or is it your car? Or is it your cell phone? Which one is more important? If you really contemplate, you'll find out all of those things, your car, your house, your experience, your partner, whatever, they're accessible to you through your consciousness, through your experience. Without your experience, there's nothing. You have nothing. So we need to attend to our experience, and that's what spiritual work has to do, with attending to our experience, but not just attend to our experience in terms of therapy, trying to make it better, attending to understand it, to clarify the consciousness that is having the experience, so that we begin to recognize the conscious as a conscious medium that can be clear and settled and tranquil. And that tranquility can then become a window, opens us up to the transcendent. We can find that this consciousness can lose its defining boundaries, our skin, and expand to become vast, endless, unbounded. And we can call that transcendence. In that sense, we transcended the limitation of the particulars of our everyday experience. We are something bigger. We are something that is bigger. We might even, in that consciousness, we might be aware of the individual who's sitting at the desk, or the person who's talking or having an email, having a meal, or just feeling spacious or peaceful. And the question of body and individual and emotion is not there. Anyway, clarifying the inner consciousness is the sure way of getting to transcendence. You don't want to wait till something hit you in your head to get the experience transcendent, to emerge in you one time. It might happen, it does happen to some people, But if you explore your inner experience, you make that possibility much more probable because your inner consciousness is clarified. But transformation is more than just clarification of the inner consciousness, which is an ongoing process. The clarification, in some sense, go on and on. You become so clear. You're transparent, completely transparent, like a transparent crystal or diamond. So I experience myself most of the time. I'm some of the transparency, the crystalline transparency. Emotion comes and go, but they're external and they don't last. What is the way I experience myself usually is lucidity. Lucid expanse. So the inner subjectivity had become clarified into a lucid expanse. Anyway, the other part of the transformation is that this inner consciousness not only becomes clarified from its history. I'm just telling you the possibility. I'm telling you what happens in our path, what to expect if you join this path or some other path that does something similar. And that we deal with our own inner experience. Instead of rejecting it, we understand it. And understanding it, the moment you understand something, it goes away, sort of. It sort of evaporates, revealing what's under it, what comes next. So you go deeper and deeper, and sometimes going deeper means going back in the origination of your experience and the patterns. But sometimes going deeper means going deeper to the nature of that consciousness, which brings in the other side of transformation, which is the development of the consciousness, the maturation of the consciousness. Not just becoming clear, but it had to begin to have qualities it did not have before. I'll give you an example. For instance, you might be used to feel anger or difficulties with anger. As it transforms, anger transforms. Instead of experiencing anger, you just feel assertive strength. You can assert yourself with strength, with courage, with boldness, without being angry, without being irritated, without having to yell at anybody. You just do your business, you interact with an assertion, with a personal kind of strength, with a courage. You're not afraid. That is the transformation of anger, which happens as part of the transformation of consciousness. Consciousness begins to develop, to have new qualities where its usual states of inside change into something else, to their pure counterpart, to their spiritual counterpart, because all of our normal experience are really distortions or facsimiles of something more original, more spiritual. So anger becomes pure, assertive, courageous strength. Your feeling of unhappiness changes into joy and playfulness and lightness and enjoyment. Your inner agitation and doubt and suspicion changes into peacefulness and a silence and a tranquility. Your hatred, many of us have hatred. All human beings have hatred. Hatred is normal if you are identified with the sense of the self of the ego. They're always hated someplace because you must have been hurt or frustrated to the extent it generates hate. Is normal. So when we become aware of our hate and work with it, it changes into what I call personal power. You're powerful in an amazing way. Powerful means you can affect change in your life and in your inner experience. And also, you are powerful to be who and what you are in the world. with others and in the environment you are and in the world. You are powerful to be yourself inside. You're not afraid of the inner judgment and the criticism that come from the past. They don't affect you. You're powerful to be just you, as a sense of some kind of presence, some kind of beingness that you are, some kind of awareness, but also powerful in terms of your action in the world. So hatred becomes power. That is a transformation. Many things change. For instance, our discontent, our frustration changes into an inner contentment. The heart feels contented, feels at ease, feels sort of supple, tranquil. But the best word for it is just feel contented. Contentment is even different from fulfillment. Because sometimes we feel unfulfilled in our life. And we think we become fulfilled if we get this or this or that, if we get this partner, if we get this job, or if we able to express our creativity. But fulfillment is really an inner state for your consciousness, a potential for your consciousness. We could feel contentment with the fullness of the heart, with the sweetness. It's like you're dripping with apricot nectar all over the place. And apricot nectar that feels blissful and yummy. That is transformation of lack of fulfillment to fulfillment, just like discontent become contentment. And just like agitation and doubt become peace. And just like anger turns into strength. And just like confusion and amorphousness changes into clarity and transparency. Your head becomes like almost like clear as a newly wiped glass, or as a transparent crystal. You become clear, there's clarity. The clarity can pervade the whole consciousness. You can feel the whole inner consciousness clear and transparent and lucid. So the clarity is not like you're clear in your thinking. It's not just that. The clarity is a state of being, a state of consciousness. You become, the clarity is something part of you. So instead of confusion, some kind of imprecision or some kind of being, filled with thoughts and doubts and that ability to know, there's a sense of clarity that makes it possible for you when you're considering a situation, you're very clear, you're set, you can look at it as it is and be clear about it. You become clear because you're clear. Your life becomes clarified because you yourself from inside, you are clear. But these are qualities of consciousness. As they become available, the consciousness evolves and matures. And as it evolves and matures and is able to experience those qualities, the consciousness becomes even more clarified and more able to experience transcendence. Like in the midst of those development of those qualities that mature our inner individual consciousness, we can contact our universal consciousness, which is the transcendence. Like once in a while, we leave the individual and we open up to a vastness, like the vastness of presence. Sometimes I see myself as being present. I am present sort of everywhere I experience myself. I feel I am there. Like I'm here, I'm there with you. Or I actually experience myself as an expanse of awareness, of luminosity, of transparency. That is transcendence. So the transcendence and the transformation are intertwined two threads of the path. So it's not just we get in transcendence and that's it. Some people, they're awakening, they get into the state of the transcendence, and they think that's it. But what happened, though, is that their personality, their inner experience hasn't really changed. When it comes to dealing with the world, when it comes to dealing with other people, all the other emotions and the usual historical way of dealing with the world that is patterned by our past experience, which for most of us is problematic, conflictual, or inadequate, or painful, it expresses itself in the way we interact with the world. You've heard many gurus of doing that. That's nothing new. That's because they have not been transformed. They got into transcendence, they're able to be transcendent, but their consciousness hasn't transformed. In other words, we have two sides of us, the individual side and the universal transcendent side. Usually we begin with the individual side, but that individual side can actually be clarified, purified, and transformed to be what it can be. That is the perspective of the Western tradition, like the Sufis, the Kabbalah, the Christian mysticism, is the individual consciousness they call the soul becomes a very clear, transparent medium. It gets into a state of purity and clarity and fulfillment, contentment, peacefulness. And that makes it possible to get into a state of transcendence where it is, they call it the state of union or the divine. The Eastern tradition call it just realization. You recognize your true self, or you are beyond the self. If you're a Buddhist, for instance, you just experience pure awareness, which is the nature of everything. So by getting into actually the transformation, experiencing the pure love, or the pure, instead of feeling not loved or lacking in love, whatever, and unlovable, you experience love. Sweet, fluffy, or sweet, golden and flowing. And instead of feeling worthless, you feel a sense of inner value that fills the being with a sense of intrinsic value. I'm just valuable because I am what I am. I am being. I am the nature of being. But that means going through many psychological things and many conceptual things that are in the way that fill our heart. But that how do we deal with those? You don't deal with them by just chanting or just by doing focused kind of meditation. It takes you out of them. No, you deal with them by grappling with them, by really embracing them. Embracing them in a way where you're really embracing the totality of who you are. I embrace all of myself. Emotion, tension, pain, difficulty, history, and I understand it parts the way and reveal the other potentialities that were blocked by identifying with the historical pattern. Identifying with the historical patterns blocks the potentialities, which is the true love, the true strength, the true peace, the true power, the true clarity. They can emerge because the blocks against them, which is our holding on to our history and our usual identification images, is out of the way because we have understood it. When we understand it, it clears the way. It is there because we haven't understood it. We haven't acknowledged it. And anybody who's done an inquiry like that, you know that's what happened. So transformation has two sides, clarification and development. And the development can develop more and more until the consciousness itself become unified. Unified as a uniform field, uniform beingness, uniform presence that feel like a true human being, the true person. We call it the true person. The state sometimes referred to as precious pearl, the state of the inner precious pearl. The pearl that many stories talk about how the hero goes into the world to find the precious pearl that is guarded by a fearsome monster or a dragon, and you get the pearl. What is the pearl? It is the maturation of your inner individual consciousness. When that happens, then that becomes an individuation and a personalization of consciousness that has in it available to it all the qualities I talked about. But it is also the child of the offspring of the vastness, of the transcendence. It's one side of the transcendence appearing as a human being, as a true person, while you are also the transcendent. Sometimes you can feel both at the same time. I feel sometimes I am the vastness that pervades everything, but I am the individual being, you true person who's talking to you. How is that vastness, how is the transcendence going to communicate to human beings, except by being a human being? So that's the idea of what transformation. It's rare that you find a teaching that goes into details explaining it, especially that we don't have a good representative Kabbalah and Sufism to explain these things these days. That the transformation means your inner experience really transforms. Become clarified, become cleared away from the past, the influence of the past, from identification with our gender or sexual orientation or our race or nationality, because our subjective experience, our true consciousness is beyond all of these things. It's timeless because it is pure consciousness appearing as an individual, a consciousness that doesn't denigrate, doesn't reject our race or our ethnicity or our gender or body. No, just recognize those are part of us that are more external. But the inner, the pith of us, the kernel of what we are, is something timeless beyond all of those. And that we don't need to we don't need to hold on to it. When we recognize it, we are just that. You don't try to be that way. I don't try to be the being that I am. I am just the being that I am. While the usual sense of experience, usual sense of identity of being a person is something that our mind is busy working to make it happen, consciously and unconsciously, by holding to belief, holding to memories, holding on to the reaction to our history, to our reaction to what happened to us in our ethnic group or our gender orientation, what happened to us, we get humiliated, or we get mad, or we even get fulfilled. All these are memories. For me, I have those memories, but they don't define me. What I am is independent for all of these things. But I recognize them and have their contribution. I am who I am partly because of what happened. Because the kind of what dominates in the consciousness in terms of the inner qualities depend partly on what has happened. Like you develop more love or more will or more clarity depending on your history. Some people become more heart people. Some people become more action people. Some people become more mind people, not mind in terms of thinking, but in terms of insight and clarity and precision and inner recognition. That partly depends on the history. So the history has its place, but fundamentally, when the transformation truly happens, and especially when the transformation leads to transcendence, in the transcendence, we know we are not the history. We are not anything. When I am pure awareness, what do you say? What is my race? What is my nationality? Who's my father? Who's my mother? All these become irrelevant. Although as an individual, yes, I have all of these things, but even as an individual, the kernel of who you are is independent, because the kernel of you are is the same thing as the transcendence appearing in time and space in your particular location within your body and within your mind. So as you see, the teaching has many parts and many things. It's really rich. and you can access it from any one of those points, from wherever you are. So we could do it in personal, private session, as I said. Sometimes we do it in an inquiry group, like there's a small group with a teacher who helps the individual work with. We do it in big groups where the teacher gives talk like I'm giving and gives exercises, they're interpersonal exercises, a lot of them give meditation and practices, and the practices you do every day, and as you do them, you get better at them, so that in time, in a few years, you're able to stay steady and solid and peaceful and empty, you see, to allow those possible potentialities to arise, to take hold in our inner being. So this path has, as you see, both transcendence and transformation. We don't emphasize transcendence or transformation. Transformation means transformation of the individual consciousness. Transcendence is going beyond the individual. We have both. They're both important. They're both part of being a human being. And transcendence, as I said, there are many states of transcendence, but also the inner consciousness has many states, has many possibilities. They're all important for living a human life, because in this path, we're not doing it just to leave the world, just to get enlightened and forget about the world. No, we want to learn about who and what we are, so we could live our life fully, so that we could contribute to our life, we could contribute to our community, we could contribute to humanity with our compassion, with our love, with our clarity, with our intelligence, with our power and strength. We can take on causes that are important for our community and humanity, and we could be really more effective. And we come from a real place, not a place dictated by history as a reaction to what's happened to me in the past, or a reaction to some kind of identification or some kind of ideology or a political persuasion. No, I participate because of what I am, what my being dictates, but how my being flows into the world. It impacts the world and make changes happen. So that way we live our life, we have a fulfilled, a more and more complete of a life as is possible in transformation, but also the transformation and transcendence help us approach the world, approach a particular of our life in a way that has sensitivity and has clarity and has objectivity in the sense seeing things as they are, and instead of looking at them through the lens of our past. There's no lenses. When we are really awakened, there are no lenses. We see things directly for what they are. So that's, it's a big transformation. It takes time sometimes. Some of us can do it, faster than others, depending on our history, how difficult it was. And, both our individual history and racial history or national history, whether we had trauma or not, abuse or not, all of these can affect us and how to clarify our consciousness and how it can transform. So now I think it's a good time to take questions. Give you time to ask questions, so because I talk about a lot of things, to give you a sense, a taste of what this path, what this teaching about. In the process, I've talked about what spirituality is about, really. So let's see. We can have individual questions.
Great. So for those who are on your phone, if you click *9, that will virtually raise your hand. For those of you who are on an iPad or a computer, if you click on the participants button, at the bottom of that list of participants, you'll see an option that says raise hand, and it's a little blue hand. So if you click on that, it will virtually raise your hand. And then I'll be able to call on people based on that. So let's just see for a second here. It looks like we have got Cal. We'll have Cal go first. I'll unmute you now.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hi, Hal.
Hi, Hamid. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to be with you and good to listen again to your talks. I've been following the Diamond approach through some of your books. Some I participated in some online programs.
Yes.
And the question that I have for you is for me personally, for some of us who have been on some kind of path or many paths in the past, practicing, how do we, for the lack of a better word, how do we leverage some of the experiences that we've had, some of the things that or states that we've experienced before, to deepen our understanding of ourselves and move deeper into the spiritual path. And as it relates to Diamond approach, do you have any curriculum? Do you have a curriculum at the Ridwan School, or in a way for some of us to be in the presence of either yourself or teachers and have more of a direct experience with the teaching? Do you have anything like that to help us out?
Well, that's the main thing actually that we have. We have groups around the world where the group has a teacher or a team of teachers, and then the group can divide and has into a smaller group with a teacher with each one of them. And we also have the possibility, each individual to have a teacher of their own that they can meet with regularly. So we have the different ways of accessing, working with this teaching. So yes, that's our main way. We're doing more online thing now, but the online thing, the latest development of our work, we're doing it because there are many people hard for them to access us. We are not in your area or region or whatever. Maybe there isn't a group there. So you are online, but there are groups in many places in the United States, in Europe, other part of the world, and those work directly with the teachers in the classical way. So, and whatever experience you are in, if you had a path before and you have developed experience, great. That makes the Diamond approach easier for you, because remember what I said, we should start with where you are, what you experience. Whatever it is. So you might be full of frustration, but you might be having sort of some kind of peacefulness or some kind of, flow of energy or something. And you want to go from there. And that's great. Wherever you are, a skilled teacher in our school will take you from where you are and work with it to go deeper. So what kind of path were you on?
Different paths. I started out with from a Sufi tradition. Originally from Morocco, so I was over that at an early age. Quite a bit of meditation from different disciplines, and I think pretty much. Getting to a point where life difficulties are there, challenges are there. I don't necessarily see them as absolutely ruling my life. At least not as much as before. So for me, understanding the mechanism, what attracted me about reading your books and about listening to you is the precision. Scientist by education, so the precision of dissecting some of these experiences very much resonated with me in a way that none of these traditions, Eastern or Western, really resonated. So I'm trying to get deeper into, and this is my heart speaking, not necessarily my mind. Want to get deeper into the diamond approach, more of spending time with a teacher to feel the presence, and also, of course, using my mind, but to feel the pressure. And I'm in the East Bay in California, so it's easy for me to have access to Ridwan School or groups.
So if you are in the East Bay, we have an ongoing group, for instance, that meets in weekends, several weekends a year, right? And I teach there sometimes, not all of it, but part of it. It's a team, and you can join that, for instance. Or we have a retreat group that just started. A retreat meeting twice a year for 8 days time, depending on people, life situation, where there is a team of 2 teachers and their assistant teachers, and who are very good teachers. You could join that, for instance. And that way you have a direct teaching with a direct teacher and an ongoing process that goes on as a path. So that's exactly what we set up for.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so it sounds like you'll be a good candidate for some of those groups, something you could benefit from, and your previous experience will come very handy. We have many people actually like you who've been in many other teaching and paths, and they find our path, for some reason, more resonating with them. And in fact, that's in our school. We don't feel we want everybody to come to our path. We want people who resonate with it, who find it really speaks to them, because that works better, you see. So you might be one of those people. Yeah.
Appreciate that. I hope so.
Yeah, it would be good to see you sometime. Yeah.
Same here. Looking forward to meeting you. Appreciate it.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. I just typed in the chat that for those who are from all around the world looking for specific ways to engage, you can email outreach@ridwan.org, and we'll be happy to respond with what's available to you wherever you're at around the world. We've got about a dozen people in about 25 minutes or so, so we'll get through as many as we can. I'm going to go to Thina Siwindu. Okay, you're unmuted, Thina. Oh. Wait, hold on, let me unmute you again. Let me try again. Do you see on your screen? There we go.
Yes, hi. Thank you very much for bringing across this approach. I'm from South Africa and I'm very new to it.
Yeah.
And I've been raised in the Christian faith, obviously, and for the first time, I found something that makes me feel that truly the kingdom is within as a starting point. But what I wanted to ask you is, this process of inquiry.
Yes.
Not so much what the questions are, but how do you allow it to be more expanded so that you can get to the depths of wherever you need to go? I've been curious about not just what questions to ask, but how to inquire in a very deeply meaningful way to enter the direct experience. And the other was that, I've been looking around South Africa in terms of what group I could, join and be part of. And unfortunately, there's somebody called Dom Lieber who's coming to do a very short workshop. And I'm interested in the school. It just really appeals. I have tried transcendental meditation, but I suppose I hadn't grown to a point where I find a practice where I know I am the way through it.
Yeah.
And I found this so appealing in terms of the spaciousness that it gradually opens for me. And thank you very much for.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're feeling spaciousness.
Yes.
That's very nice to feel spacious, right? There's more room, but it's like the whole world become sort of have more space for us. We're very crowding the earth to feel inner spaciousness helps. But yes, inquiry is our main practice, our central practice. We do meditation of various kinds, many other practices to support the inquiry. The inquiry is a self-inquiry into where you are, which in time becomes what you are. You know, when you're feeling, for instance, rejection, for instance, rejecting your experience. If you work on the rejection and you see the history behind all of that, then the rejection fades away and there arises acceptance. When acceptance arises, it is a state of being, a state of consciousness. You feel a lucidity, a clarity, a gentle, just acceptance of whatever it is. Acceptance means no rejection and no holding on, just let it be. And it is a beautiful state of rejection. That's going to the depth by working on the rejection. So really when we work on our presenting feeling or states, we go beyond them. The understanding transform them to open up consciousness, to reveal the elements, the potential of the consciousness that are relevant to that state. So rejection, the relevant for it is acceptance, which turns out to be a state of essential nature, spiritual nature. Now, you want to learn more about inquiry. We do have courses in inquiry. Like, for instance, I don't know if you know, in the Insight Timer, there is a course called the Diamond Inquiry. We posted it only a few months ago. Just look for Diamond Inquiry and Insight Timer. It is a course, I think, of 10 lessons of how to inquire. And also online, in our online department, Diamond Approach Online, you will find a course in inquiry. It's a video course of inquiry of 10 sessions or so by me and other teachers talking about the main element of inquiry, how to inquire and how to do it. So that's just, courses you could take. But I also hear there is one of our teachers planning to form a group in South Africa. So you should stay in touch with our website to know when, how, and when that's going to happen. Because the teacher, Dominic, his name, Dominic Lieber, is very good, very good. He's actually who created the Insight Timer inquiry course. He is his voice. You hear it if you listen to it. He is from South Africa himself.
Yes, that's how I found you.
Yeah,
that's how I found you. I found the approach on Insight Timer, and Dom Lieber is coming, and I will be thinking on.
I hear he's planning to start a group in South Africa. So I don't know when he's planning to do it. If that happens, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you.
In our groups in Europe, we have people from South Africa come all the way from South Africa, go all the way to Germany and Holland to join groups. We have people come from all over the world, South America, whatever, because they want this teaching and they'll do whatever it takes. They have the means, the money and the time, they'll do it. But not everybody has the means. They need it in their location. And we are trying to create things more in different location. But in the meantime, we're doing things online, like Insight Timer, online courses. So to give people like you some access, some understanding before an actual group start happening.
Yes.
So I'm glad to hear it, that you feel that resonance.
Yes, no, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, because that's what it is. When somebody get our work, understand it, and feel the resonance. It resonates within you, and that's how you do it with any teaching. Different people resonate with different teaching. There are people like you who resonate with this teaching. If you resonate with it, it will work for you more naturally. Makes it easier for you. So good to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
It sounds I might see you again.
I feel that. I feel that.
Because all of our groups, even if you grew up in South Africa, at some point, we all try to get together.
Yes.
And I teach everybody together.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All the best.
Yes, for the best. For all of us.
Okay, let's go to Saleh. I'm going to unmute you, Saleh. And again, let's see. I've been typing in the chat. I've got about 20 minutes left. I've been typing in the chat some links to different things. And at the end of today, I'll share an upcoming course that we have, Spirituality in a Fractured World. Some people were asking me in the chat privately and publicly about how to connect this practice to different things they're experiencing in their life and in the world. So I'll share more about that at the end. And let me go to Saleh. I'll unmute you.
Hi, Hamid.
Hey.
How are you? It's so nice to see you finally. I've been reading almost all of your books and they've been helping me so much.
Wow, I'm glad to hear it. All of my books. There are many books.
Well, yeah, I've just 2 or 3 left.
That's very good. Yeah.
I just love them, they're like a minefield for my ego. Like whenever I read something, I get insights like explosion.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it has that effect, because that's really why I wrote the book. I wanted some of the teaching to be available through that medium. People like you to benefit from it. To have access to the richness of the inner world through the written word. Really, just like we do online, we also have the books. So I'm glad that the books have done that for you. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
It's an issue that I've been struggling with because I find some of the things so fascinating. That I read, including the essential aspects, including the book about the Enneagram. And so an obstacle that I've been having is that I've been conceptualizing a lot of these stuff, and I haven't been able to let go of the concepts of the Enneagram types or the essential aspects in my mind when I'm trying to relate to life or when I'm trying to relate to another person. So for example, I'm sitting together with another person, and instead of just feeling them without allowing the mind to interfere, immediately my mind starts, rambling about Enneagram types and what type is she and what type is he and how are they operating and so on.
You're excited about these concepts.
Yeah, so excited.
But are you saying that sometimes when you're not interacting with people, you can experience some of the aspects, some of the qualities?
I can sort of imagine it and feel it in myself, what it would feel like.
Tell me something you feel in yourself. What aspect you feel easy for you to experience?
The pearl.
You feel the pearl. When you feel the pearl, how do you feel? How do you feel it?
I feel excited.
Yeah. What else inside you?
I feel clear and spacious.
Yeah. Okay. Feeling clear and spacious is good. When you feel clear and spacious, what's that like?
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air. That's good. So you're feeling the spaciousness, which is one way our consciousness manifests. Now that is not the pearl yet, but it is the beginning to get to the pearl.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what
see, that's the thing. Like I get this intense emotional experience attached to the experience, which makes me think that this is it. This is the authentic experience of the pearl, or of the merging essence.
When I feel the pearl, I feel an inner fullness, inner presence that is full. It's both personal and human. But it is a presence of a full, rich presence of consciousness. Spaciousness, it is in the midst of spaciousness needed for it, but something else emerges in spaciousness that we call the pearl, which is a sentient, a fullness that fills your body, fills your inner subjectivity. So it doesn't sound to me you're experiencing the pearl directly. You're having some sense of it.
Okay.
But there might be other, but you can experience spaciousness. That's pretty good, you see?
Yeah.
That spaciousness seems a real experience.
But how do I prevent my mind, or not prevent, but how do I see through my mind's attempts of interfering and making a big deal out of all these aspects and experiences?
Not unusual for people to have their mind get excited, especially if you read a lot of the books, but you're not doing the practices. You tend to become more. So you need to do some of the practice. Have you learned any of the practices we give?
No, I've just read the things in the book. So I haven't joined any group or anything.
You should learn some of the practices. It's important to learn some of the practices that will ground your experience in your body and your being instead of your mind. It's not easy to deal with the mind without some kind of meditation practices. So you should learn what we call the belly meditation. We call the belly meditation. I don't know which course, some of our online courses give it. Okay. And so you need to find out which one it is. And you could take that online course and learn the meditation.
Okay.
And also the online course will teach you how to access some of the inner states at the same time. You see, I think a course like Introduction to the Diamond Approach, that will be a good place for you to start. That will give you more immediate direct experience than just reading the books. The books is a good beginning, but you need to go further into more immediate direct experience. So you do it either with a teacher or you take a course. See?
Yes.
If you have a teacher accessible to you, it's good. Where do you live?
Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden. We have a group in Sweden. We don't have teachers there, but we have some group that meets in Sweden. So you might be able to join some of the group in Sweden or someplace in Northern Europe, where you could actually learn the practices and engage with the teachers.
Yes.
So that's one way of doing it. Or you could take the online course first, and like the Introduction to the Diamond Approach, and learn about how to ground your experience and not in your mind, not to have it be mental, but come down into your body, into your heart.
Yes.
So you experience the field, just like you experience spaciousness. Spaciousness is everywhere. It's not just in your mind. You see.
Yeah.
Other states can arise, like the pearl and stuff like that. Okay, so good luck with it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Okay. Let's go to, and again, I've been posting so many links. The main links I've been posting are ways to engage. Some people have been asking about that. So I posted a link in the chat about that, different avenues and ways to engage. I also posted a link to online programs. And some people are asking about those specific techniques like the belly or cup meditation. And many of those will be found through different online programs, or you're always welcome to email the email address that I'll keep posting as well with specific questions like that about where to find certain things you're looking for.
Yeah.
Let's go to Boris.
Hi, Hamid.
Hey, Boris.
Hi. I'm calling from Germany, and
Germany, yes. Okay.
Yes. I'm in the currently in the Hamburg group.
Oh, the Hamburg group. Yes, I heard about the Hamburg group.
Yeah,
I was so happy to hear there's a Hamburg group, because I was in Hamburg several times and taught there, and I really liked it.
Yes, I liked it. I like it too. My question is, I'm with the Ridwan School for 2 years now, and before that, I have done a lot of inner work with another spiritual teacher, and the work was different because it was a lot more confrontational.
Uh-huh.
So a lot more direct confrontation from the teacher. And so I was very glad to see that this is not the case here. And I was wondering if the role of direct confrontation or strong confrontation, ego destruction confrontation, if that role was different in the beginning of the school, and if it has changed, and why?
Well, I mean, I was using more confrontation, but I don't know, when you say you were involved in teaching, you use confrontation. What kind of confrontation? Was it psychological? Or was
yes. Yeah. Well, we used the Enneagram too. Uh-huh. And it was direct confrontation with the ego structure, and well, my experience from my part, there was a lot of clarity coming from it, a lot of understanding about my ego structure, but at the same time, a lot of strengthening of the superego. So,
yeah, well, you see, you can the teacher can be very good at confronting psychological thing, but if the teacher doesn't know the spiritual dimension, doesn't know the quality of spiritual dimension that are behind those ego types, they won't be able to guide you there, regardless how good they are in confrontation. Confrontation might be useful, but it has to be accompanied by knowledge and methodology of how to access the spiritual state. Like, for instance, I'm going to have a new book in the Enneagram. Since you work with Enneagram, you know my book, Facet Unity, but I'm having a new book called Keys to the Enneagram.
That's very good to hear. So.
Yeah, and it's going to be about the essential qualities. Each essential quality in its relationship to a particular ego type. So by learning about your ego type, you will connect to a spiritual essential quality that help liberate you from the ego type. So hopefully a book like that will be helpful. That's what I mean. You have to have both sides. You can't just do psychological, and you can't just do spiritual. You have to do both. Well, we are both. And hopefully your engagement in the Hamburg group will help you with that, because we do use the Enneagram in our teaching too. Maybe your teachers haven't gotten there yet. Who are those teachers? Who are the teachers that are doing it?
Well, actually, I'm kind of now in the transition from the Hamburg group to the RAT 2 group of Florentine. But I haven't not been there. I just the seminar, the first one for me, starts in two weeks, and. So
I'm going to Florentine group who teaches in German.
Yes.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to it. So
sounds good. I hear it's a good group.
Yes.
Well, good luck. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
We use confrontation, but in a different way. It's more like a gentle confrontation. Where are you? What are you experiencing?
Right.
What's it about? It's a welcoming, holding kind of way. So it's not confronting in the sense, well, you are this way, and well, that's good. Sometimes a teacher might confront you that way. Sometimes, if you're resisting in a difficult way that you're not open. But confrontation has a place, but it's not the only thing we use. Mm-hmm. Inquiry has confrontation, but has many other things. Okay, so good luck.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
I think we have time for maybe one more for a short one. We've got about 5 minutes left. And then we can talk about the upcoming course about spirituality in a fractured world, which I think a lot of us would probably be very interested in right now. Let me go to Sati. I'm going to unmute you, Sati. Okay, you're unmuted. S-A-T-H-I. Either? Okay, maybe not. We'll go to someone else.
Okay, maybe we should go to the fractured world. I think I'd like to talk about that some.
Okay.
So since many people are interested and it is upcoming soon, beginning of next year, we're presenting a new online course, but we're presenting it for a particular reason and to help us in a particular way, which is that we live in a world these days of more chaos, more discord, more polarization, more violence, more sectarianism, more division, and dissatisfaction, fear, anger. Different countries have different things about it. So we thought that we do a course where you present the teaching diamond approach, but how to apply it, use it in a way that is applied, how to apply it in the situation, how do we deal with ourselves in this situation, and how do we access the qualities or dimension of our spirituality that help us live in this world, not only live in this world, how to deal with it in a way that helps, how to contribute to the situation. So we bring in the qualities of courage, the qualities of compassion, the qualities of will, the qualities of clarity, and the qualities of consciousness, and the unity of humanity, and the unity of being, how we are all one regardless of where we are, what we are. But also, beside the unity, what are the specific qualities that are needed that for us to navigate the world we live in, which is more chaotic, more difficult, and also more unpredictable than it used to be. And it is so economically, it is so racially, it is so nationally, it is so ethnically, it is so in terms of gender and sexual orientation, all of that. We deal with all of these things, but from the perspective of spirituality, and not just general things, spirituality, but about very specific thing. You can learn how to deal with your emotion, where you are, and how to bring yourself into this world in a way that heals it, that will bring in more harmony, and instead of increasing the discord and the polarization. So that's our attempt. And the other thing is that this course is different from other courses. We're not using the usual format of online courses. We're doing one teaching a month for 10 months, which is a pre-recorded teaching that me and Karen, my colleague, have taught. And our teaching talks with exercises and practices and meditation. And then in between each teaching, there's a live Q&A session where you can ask us questions. At the same time, there's a possibility of joining what we call inquiry groups, which means you could join an inquiry group where you could practice, work with the material that we taught in a way you can integrate it, open up to it with the help of one of our skilled teachers. So you will see more of these details and, on the link. But I wanted to say this because it is really, for me, I think it is a way we're contributing positively to the world, to all of us and to the world as a whole, to help our world be a better world, and how to be better humans, more truly human. Better human mean more truly human. It's not better or worse. It's more fully human in a world that is losing its humanity. I feel that our world is getting really more superficial because of the technology, and also less human because of the division, and also more cruel because of the income inequality and all of that. So it's a really difficult situation, which put many people in with all kind of, even when you're not impacting you individually, you hear about it in the news, you have all kind of emotion. What do you do with them? So this course will help you to how to deal with those and how to access some of the qualities I talked about, and make them and have them, bring them to bear in your life, personal life, and in the world. How to engage in this world, how to help climate change situation, for instance, what to do about it. You see, how to get engaged in a real clear way. And if you're going to join a political group or activist group or a cause, how to do it from a place of clarity and precision, and a place of true courage and compassion and giving and love, instead of just an ideological place. That's my introduction to it. Will acquaint you with this possibility, which I think is, we did it in a 10-month thing, once a month, because we learn people don't have time. This way you have a whole month to digest the material, work with it, to bring questions to the Q&A session, work with an inquiry group, so you have space to integrate and learn. And also we're going to provide practices as part of it, as you will see.
Okay, I put the link. There's a interest list, and I put the link to that in the chat. If you're interested in that course, you can sign up there, your name. And also, once again, any of these links, if you didn't catch any of them, you can always email the outreach email box, and we'll be happy to re-give any of that information.
It's really, this course gives you a good taste of this path, of this teaching, because it really goes into some kind of specific detail about particular, dimensions of consciousness, dimension of our authenticity, in a way with exercises and practices that make it more possible for you to actually experience them. Like the talk I did today, it's difficult to access those emotions, those states, because I went through them fast. But in this course, we take like a meeting or two, each one of them, so you could really learn. You can really be open and work through some of what's in the way of them.
Okay, I think we're at time today, and I want to thank everyone for being here together, supporting the school, one another, this community. I want to thank Hamid for sharing your wisdom, your guidance, and your support today. And again, you're welcome to email outreach@ridwan.org and with any of the outstanding questions or comments or information. And we wish everyone a wonderful rest of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are around the world. I'll stay on the call for a few more minutes for any technical questions or anything else that people have. And thanks again to all.
Yeah, I want to say I've been glad being with all of you. I feel my heart full and happy to engage and to be hopefully useful to some of you, that you hear something that touches you, that resonates with you, that you learn something that is useful about spirituality, about spiritual path. And I appreciate you being here and giving yourself the time to learn.